Beyond the Gates spoilers January 26 to 30th, 2026 full. Dani is unraveling in slow motion, and what makes it most dangerous is how quietly it's happening. On the surface, she still moves through Fairmont Crest with the same composed grace, the same practiced calm that has always made people believe she is stronger than she really feels. But beneath that control, her world has begun to collapse from multiple directions at once. Her mother's cancer diagnosis has stripped away Dani's last illusion of emotional safety, forcing her to confront the kind of fear that no amount of privilege can protect her from. At the same time, learning that she carries the BRCA gene has shattered her sense of bodily autonomy and certainty about the future. Even with the reassurance that her daughters appear to be safe for now, Dani cannot escape the knowledge that danger lives inside her bloodline, quietly, invisibly, waiting. It is this constant internal pressure at grief mixed with dread, love mixed with terror that leaves her emotionally raw and dangerously vulnerable. Especially to the one man she has never truly been able to let go of, Bill. Bill has always represented something Dani both fears and craves: stability wrapped in temptation, familiarity tangled with unfinished longing. In moments of crisis, when the rest of the world feels unpredictable and cruel, Dani finds herself drawn back to him not out of calculation, but instinct. With Andre away in New York on a professional assignment, the emotional distance in her present relationship becomes impossible to ignore. Andre's absence is not just physical, it leaves Dani alone with her thoughts, her test results, and the crushing weight of everything she hasn't said out loud. Bill, on the other hand, is close, attentive, and deeply invested in her pain. He listens when Dani finally allows herself to speak honestly as a strong mother or a composed daughter, but as a frightened woman facing genetic fate and potential loss. She opens up to him in a way she hasn't allowed herself to do with anyone else, confessing fears she barely understands herself. And in that moment of unguarded intimacy, something shifts. The line between comfort and desire dissolves. When Dani leans in and kisses Bill, it isn't hesitation or weakness, it's a deliberate, impulsive choice born from emotional overload. The kiss scene in the BTG Weekly preview isn't accidental or mutual confusion. It carries the unmistakable weight of Dani being the one who crosses the line first, choosing connection over restraint. Feeling over reason, even as she knows the consequences could be devastating. While Dani spirals inward, Haley is unraveling outward, and the difference in their crises makes the collision inevitable. Haley has watched Bill's attention drift away from her for weeks, perhaps longer, but now it is undeniable. He no longer tries to hide how deeply he cares for Dani, how instinctively he moves to protect her, comfort her, and remain emotionally present in her life. Every gesture, every conversation, every moment of concern cuts Haley more deeply, reinforcing the fear she refuses to name out loud, that she is losing her husband not through betrayal alone, but through emotional displacement. Haley's response is not retreat or reflection, but escalation. Her plan, dangerous and slow-burning, hinges on control rather than confrontation. The herbal tea she insists Bill drink is no longer just a wellness quirk or passive-aggressive habit, it is a ritual, one she enforces with increasing urgency. Bill hates the tea, resents it, questions it, but Haley persists, masking obsession as care. Each cup is another attempt to reassert dominance, to keep Bill tethered to her through routine and compliance rather than love. What Haley does not fully grasp is how closely she is being watched. Leslie, sharp-eyed and always attuned to the vulnerabilities of others, has already recognized the pattern in Haley's behavior. She understands manipulation when she sees it, especially when it wears the disguise of concern. Leslie's proposal of an alliance is not rooted in loyalty, but opportunity. She sees Haley's desperation as leverage, her fear as a gateway to shared control. Yet the weekly spoilers hint that Haley's plan begins to collapse just as she grows most dependent on it. By Thursday, she is pushed into a corner, and the source of that pressure remains dangerously unclear. It could be Leslie tightening the grip, demanding more than Haley is willing to give. It could be Lynette, an unresolved presence from Haley's past, returning with knowledge or motives that threaten exposure. Or it could be Tomas, whose quiet observations finally crystallize into confrontation, especially if he forces Haley to account for the phone call she believed no one overheard called to her cousin that may reveal far more than she intended. As tensions tighten around Dani and Haley, a far more violent threat emerges elsewhere, one that shifts the tone of the week from emotional betrayal to physical danger. Vanessa's attack comes without warning, a brutal reminder that Fairmont Crest's polished surface hides very real risks. The assault is not random, and its timing is impossible to ignore. With alliances forming, secrets circulating, and power dynamics shifting, Vanessa becomes collateral damage in a conflict larger than herself. Whether she was targeted as a warning, a message, or a mistake remains uncertain, but the impact is immediate and chilling. Her attack sends shockwaves through the community, forcing everyone, especially Dani and Bill, to confront how exposed they truly are. Emotional choices suddenly feel reckless when violence enters the equation, and trust becomes a luxury no one can afford. By the end of the week, the consequences of Dani's kiss with Bill have not yet fully surfaced, but the tension it creates is unmistakable. Haley is cornered, unstable, and running out of time. Leslie's influence grows darker, Tomas's suspicions sharpen, Vanessa's safety hangs in the balance, and Dani, having crossed a line she can never uncross, must now face the reality that seeking comfort in the past may have ignited a chain reaction she cannot control. What began as grief and vulnerability has turned into a catalyst for chaos, and as Fairmont Crest braces for fallout, one truth becomes unavoidable. This is no longer just about love, loyalty, or betrayal. It is about survival, and the next move could cost someone everything. The phone call Vanessa received days earlier refuses to fade into the background, no matter how hard she tries to compartmentalize it. At the time, she dismissed it as just another furious voice on the line, another man lashing out because his carefully curated life had cracked open. But this call was different. The husband was not merely angry, he was humiliated, wounded in a way that bordered on obsession. He knew his wife had been a client of Heart Attach, and he knew Vanessa's name. His rage was not explosive but controlled, deliberate, the kind that simmers quietly before it turns dangerous. Vanessa heard it in the pauses between his words, in the way he asked questions he already seemed to know the answers to. Even after the call ended, the tension lingered, leaving her with the unsettling feeling that the conversation was not over, that it had merely shifted locations. That unease becomes chillingly justified when Vanessa senses someone watching her, someone who seems to know exactly where she will be and when. The possibility that the furious husband has crossed the line from angry caller to physical threat becomes impossible to ignore. If he is the one who suddenly approaches her, if he is the source of the attack that leaves her shaken and vulnerable, then his mistake is monumental. What he does not realize what could cost him everything is that Vanessa is not alone, and she is not unprotected. Her relationship with Joey Armstrong places her firmly inside a world where threats are taken seriously and retaliation is swift. Crossing Vanessa means crossing Joey, and Joey does not forgive recklessness lightly. The man believes he is confronting a business owner he can intimidate. Instead, he may have inserted himself into a network of power far larger and more dangerous than he understands. As Vanessa's safety becomes a silent but urgent concern, parallel forces are moving through the DMV with equal intensity. Joey's impending reunion with Sheriff Elon is not a social visit or a nostalgic catch-up between old friends. This meeting carries weight, purpose, and consequence. Joey comes prepared, armed not with weapons, but with information link that Elon desperately needs and cannot easily obtain elsewhere. The timing is too precise to be coincidental. Joey has been collecting fragments of truth, watching patterns form, and now he is ready to trade knowledge for leverage. Whether the intelligence he offers ties directly to the shadowy operations surrounding Fairmont Crest or intersects with the incriminating material he has gathered to keep Leslie in check remains an open question. What is clear is that Joey is positioning himself carefully, ensuring that no single piece of information exists in isolation. Every secret connects to another, and Ellen's involvement threatens to pull law enforcement closer to conflicts that were once safely contained behind gated walls. The question of Leslie looms heavily over this exchange. If Joey's intelligence overlaps with what he already knows about her, then Leslie's position becomes increasingly precarious. Blackmail only works as long as the secret stays hidden, and Joey understands that sometimes the most effective pressure comes from letting others know just enough to become curious. Elon, with his authority and access, represents both protection and exposure. The reunion between these two men is less about friendship and more about alignment, about deciding which truths will be buried and which will be allowed to surface. In a community like Fairmont Crest, where appearances are currency, even the hint of investigation can destabilize alliances and force desperate behavior. Meanwhile, as danger and power plays unfold behind the scenes, intimacy continues to advance quietly but decisively. By the end of the night, two couples take a step forward in their relationships, choices made not in grand gestures, but in private moments where defenses finally lower. These decisions are not impulsive, they are the result of long-simmering tension, unspoken desire, and the need for connection in an increasingly hostile environment. Each step forward carries risk, because closeness now means vulnerability. Trusting someone with your heart also means trusting them with your secrets, and in Fairmont Crest, secrets have a way of becoming weapons. The uncertainty surrounding which couples move forward only adds to the unease. The possibility that Bill and Dani could be among them hangs uncomfortably in the air, not because their connection lacks chemistry, but because the timing could not be worse. With Haley already pushed to the brink, with her plans unraveling and her sense of control slipping away, any further emotional intimacy between Bill and Dani would be gasoline on a fire that is already burning out of control. Donnie's earlier decision to seek comfort in Bill has set events in motion that cannot be undone, and taking another step now will transform a moment of vulnerability into a declaration of war. Whether Dani recognizes that danger and time remains uncertain, especially as grief and fear continue to cloud her judgment. As the night closes, Fairmont Crest settles into an uneasy quiet, the kind that signals not peace, but anticipation. Vanessa's fate remains unclear, her attacker unidentified but dangerously close. Joey and Ellen's alliance threatens to shift the balance of power across the DMV. Leslie's web tightens even as cracks begin to show. Haley stands at the edge of exposure, her desperation escalating as her options disappear. And Dani, caught between loss, longing, and consequence, faces the reality that one more step in the wrong direction could destroy far more than her own heart. In this world, every action echoes, every secret multiplies, and the next move, whether born of love, fear, or revenge, may be the one that finally brings everything crashing down.